To the high drama of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra with Mr. Furtwängler. This is vk3sl, and welcome to our afternoon missions back again. And we're trying out new things, always trying out new things here. And I've got a surprise for today. I'm very pleased to say that my new retail therapy purchase has arrived in the mail. And I have on me my new lapel microphone, my little Lavalier wireless mic. Now I'm going to switch over to it right now. There we go. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is sort of a classic. It's about the size of a postage stamp. It's tiny. It's got a 2.4 gigahertz transmitter and receiver. And I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to see how well this works. We might see if we can capture the mood of the household maybe, or see what's going on outside. You can hear the transmitter fan. It's the only fan I've got really, is the transmitter fan. Here it is buzzing away there. You can hear that. And what I'll do is I can exit the room. This is fantastic, and I can even tell what my signal strength is, which is pretty remarkable. This is the new Lavalier Microphonics. And I'm down the stairs outside, and we're just going to climb over the fence here. Now, the chook's here somewhere. We can have it. We can interview the chooks. That'd be interesting. And where are they? Where are the chooks? Here they are. We might just check in with them, see what the what you're thinking. What's your commentary on the corona situation, chooks? Yes. Any further comment? On. Yep. Okay. Well, they're having a good pecking my feet. Well, while we're here, we could actually have a live game of table tennis. Here we go. I've got the microphone back on, and I've got young Will here. Hi, Mr. Will. And this is what I often do while the missions are on. We do this anyhow. So here we go. Table tennis fun. Oh yes, and off into the bushes, and we have to go and find the ball down amongst the leaves. There it is. There it is. Ready to go. Let's have a game. And that is what?
1 love.
1 love. Oh, it's 1-1 now. I lost that. Yes, so Will's about to pick up the ball. Ready for another. Oh, yes. What's the score?
2-1.
2-1 and 2-2 now.
3-1.
2-1.
3-1.
3-1. Oh, okay. I'm not concentrating here. I'm distracted by the chooks. Oh, there we go. 4-1. And a bad smash there into the bushes. And we have the ball back again. It's my turn to serve, or your turn, Will?
I think it's mine.
I think it's Will's serve. Okay, off we go. Oh, and a bad return from me. Hits the net. Will goes for another serve now. And, oh, right over the edge, under the trampoline. There we go. Ball's back. What's the score now?
5-3.
5-3. 5-3. You ready? Oh, and what's that one there?
6-3.
6-3, yes. That was a good round, actually. Good shot, Will. Oh, he's warming up. I lost that point.
Nice one.
6-4. Getting there. And right over the table. A really bad shot from me. Just went straight out and beyond. I've got to refine my technique here. Okay, so what is it?
5-6.
5-6. And over the edge.
7-5.
7-5. Oh, there we go. Just got on the edge of the table, zipped off on the diagonal under the trampoline. Will's retrieved the ball, but we're looking at 8-5 now. Is that right?
Yeah.
8-5. Oh, no, 8-6, 8-6. Are you ready? Oh, good shot. Yes, a very fast return there from Will, and I just didn't quite have the angle of incidence.
Whose serve is it?
I think it's your serve. Oh no, another bad shot for me, right under the trampoline. Has to be retrieved.
8-all.
8-all. He's catching up. Oh, there we go. It's getting close now. 9-8. Here we go. Look at that look of incredible determination. Oh no!
9-all.
9-all. Oh, and your turn. Yeah. Okay. 9-10. My serve.
Oh, is it my serve?
Might be your serve. Yeah. Okay. And over the edge, it's juice, I think.
10-all.
10-all. Juice. Often happens this way. Oh no, and it's advantage me. Here's my moment. Gotta flex my arms here, get the poise right, and ready for a fast serve. Oh no, it's juice again, and Will's turn. Oh no, it's advantage Will. He's in front. And juice again. Folks, this is an exciting match. We are on the edge of our seats here. Back to juice, my serve. Oh, good return. And I lost the point. I went beyond the edge of the table, out again to the corner of the yard. Will's retrieved the ball. He's bringing it back.
My advantage, I think.
Your advantage. And juice again. Folks, this is incredibly exciting. Oh no, and I do the same mistake. I'm not learning from my mistakes. Oh, good one. And you win. Did you win?
Yeah.
You did. Will won. There we go. Close match. Thanks, Will.
That's all right.
That was good. There we have it. It's a bit of vk3sl yard missions here using the new microphone. And so we've chatted to the chooks. Who else is about? What else is happening here? There's quite a bit of bird life this time of day. Just been for a walk. It's been very pleasant. Anyone else around wants to chat? Looks like everybody is busy doing other things. If I go in the house, I don't think the 2 gig thing will work. Has to be people out. Has to be something out in the yard, I think. All right, we'll get back into the booth. I think people are thoroughly bored. I think we've lost all of our listeners at this point. So, yes, slight indulgence there. All right, back into the booth. Back in we go. And we'll just see if things are still working. I wonder, are they? Oh yes, it looks reasonably good on the SDR. All right, let's see. What have we got? What have we got? The Temperance 7. We've been playing a few Temperance 7 records of late, and I think we'll have a listen to something that's certainly not happening here. That Certain Party. This is vk3sl testing.
got naughty eyes?
Yes, she has got naughty eyes.
That certain party.
I mean, baby.
You know the one I mean.
Oh, yes, we know the one you mean.
That certain party of mine. Ruby lips, turned up nose, lovely legs, pretty clothes. Oh, what a smarty.
Yes, sir.
Has she got loving ways?
Yes, she has got loving ways.
That certain party of mine.
vk3sl, you just heard the Temperance 7 to set the scene for tonight's missions. And we are testing here, of course. It's just tone test to validate volume and clarity here on 160. And of course, we have a streaming service, concurrent. It's on the laptop here, and that's streaming out into the ether via YT. So just look that one up and look up my call sign on YouTube, and you'll find a reference to that. And of course, this is the important disclaimer: you are able to be entertained if you listen on the YouTube stream. If you're listening on air, it's strictly tone tests and there's nothing else to it. Okay, we'll have something authentic now. On the turntable, I've got some more 20s records. I found another shelf of 20s records I didn't know I had, including this one with the Clico Club Eskimos from 1926. In fact, that's actually Harry Reese's orchestra. Let's have a listen. My Sunday Girl.
A prize, get those eyes, get their size. I love my Sunday girl. I introduced her to my pa, to my ma. There you are, they love my Sunday girl. Now when we're walking arm in arm down the avenue, the traffic stops to let us through. There's a church we're going in just to hear blow and grin. That's how much I love my Sunday girl.
There we go. That was the... what was it? That was Harry Reese's band, the Clico Club Eskimos, a recording on Columbia from about 1926. And I think it was Mr. Reeser, certainly Mr. Reeser on the banjo, and I'm almost 100% certain that was Tom Stacks on the vocals of that record. So there we go. A bit of nostalgia. Original discs. Another one on the table is an old Imperial record, old British Imperial, and it says the Moulin Rouge Orchestra. Now, I've done a bit of investigation from Mr. Rust's discography, and in fact there's the Alan Sutton and the Rust discographies, there's two, and it looks like there's a bit of debate as to who the band is on this. I think it is actually the Ben Sylvan's band, his AR band, and but it could also be the Bar Harbour Society Orchestra. This is very important information. But let's have a listen to the record. It is very scratched, but it does sound good. This goes back to May 1925, vk3sl. That's either the Bar Harbour Society Orchestra or Ben Sylvan's band, a recording released on British Imperial from the 1920s, May 1925, according to the discography lists, and had a nice little saxophone solo in that. I quite like that record. All right, we're just sort of sampling random samples, actually, from the collection here. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's just sort of something that happens, and it's just an outlet. I'm boxed in here all day. I'm in a straitjacket. And we have to find ways of expressing and making meaning out of things. And this is sort of my pathology. Sorry about that. All right, another one. Another one is a Billy Jones record from about the same period, about a year earlier maybe. It's an acoustic. And it's got a very alluring title. It's called... Let me see. Wait a minute. Have I got this queued up? I have to be correct here. Yes, what does the pussycat mean when she says meow? I wonder, I wonder. Novelty music from the 1920s, vk3sl test missions on 160 metres, and we've been listening to the Columbia Novelty Orchestra with Billy Jones, and another one on the turntable. I'm going to play the other side of the Harry Reeser track we heard earlier, the Clico Club Eskimos. And on this track is, I think it's called At Sundown, I think that's what it is. It's almost sundown. Might be time for the Grey Liners to be queuing up for the band. Maybe. Yeah, we'll hear Tom Stacks again. And poor old Tom Stacks died trying to save his drum kit. He was the drummer in the Harry Reeser outfits, the Six Jumping Jacks and the Jazz Pilots and the Clico Club Eskimos. He was the vocal, sort of novelty vocalist and drummer, and there was a big fire, was it at the Coconut Grove, one of those places in the early 30s, and he went back inside, did the wrong thing, and he went to save his drum kit and did not come back out. It's a really sad story. So poor old Tom Stacks. Anyhow, we'll hear him. He's forever living on these old 78s from way, way back. So let's have a listen to Tom Stacks and the Clico Club Eskimos and Harry Reeser and At Sundown, vk3sl.
Every little breeze is sighing of love undying at sundown. Every little bird is resting and feather nesting at sundown. Each little rosebud is sleeping while shadows are creeping. In a little cottage cozy the world seems rosy at sundown, where a loving smile will greet me and always meet me at sundown. I seem to sigh, I'm in heaven, when night is falling and love is calling me home.
Clico Club Eskimos from 1926-ish on an old Columbia, very scratched old Columbia. Most of the records here are in bad condition. They have not been looked after, and I think I've mentioned before, I used to pick them up at op shops, but I always got the dregs in the pile. Others had picked the eyes out, and I usually got the records that are chipped, scratched, cracked, what have you, and they're the ones that have sort of endured and have stayed on the shelves and enjoying some sort of resurgence. And I think we'll play one more, just one more, and then we'll have the serious part of the program. Actually, I've got a D24 lined up. We could play that shortly. But let's have a listen now to Nat Ganella. Nat Ganella and his Georgians, and this one here just jumped out of the shelf at me. It really wanted, it was yearning to be played, so I think we'll have to give it a Guernsey. vk3sl testing.
Like a million, and I want to get this over to you, that I'm feeling like a million. Though I haven't got a villa, a dugout or bed, still I'm walking like a million. With my hat on the side of my head, what's the thing that I found through the days that I ploughed? Is it you that's around? I get a crazy feeling I could jump up to the ceiling, cause I'm feeling like a million. Though I couldn't buy a collar, a necktie or gloves, still I'm feeling like a million. Is it you, is it me, is it love?
I'm feeling like a million. I wish I was. Mind you, change of weather is a good thing. It's one good thing amidst all of the bad things. And that track was from the Broadway Melody of 1938. Featured Nat Ganella and his Georgians. Pretty striking trumpet playing. He has a real sort of great energy, and it's very Satchmo inspired, but which is not a bad thing. It's wonderful, and but he's an artist who, an English trumpet player who really was at the helm for quite some time. He lived right up until the 90s, I think. He was still playing at the 100 Club when I was in London back in the 80s. He was still going strong then. So, a remarkable individual, Mr. Ganella. All right then, I think we'll hand over to the D24 department now. And before doing so, just a quick word that we do have our late night missions on Friday night. As per usual, we start at about 11:30, and around about midnight, Frank and Jamie will be joining me, and we'll have an amazing OTR session. We'll be delving into the archives, and Jamie will bring his portfolio of amazing treats, and we'll have something that's truly indulgent. So I look forward to that very much, and encourage anyone who's interested in old-time radio history, and that there's a program, well, yes, a program where you can be entertained online but not on the air. There we go, disclaimer number 2. Let's have a listen now to D24 and an episode called, what is it called? The House, Master of the House, I think. Don't know I have any other details here, but let's give this a Guernsey. vk3sl testing.
D24. From the files of the Victoria Police come these true stories of unceasing war against crime, of day and night vigilance that protects our life and our property, and of the nerve center of the Police Information Bureau, D24. This is the true story of Master of the House. This is a true story from the files of the Victoria Police. Only names, place names, and dates have been altered. This is the story of what happened in the home of a man whose only claim to success in life was a bully's boast that he was master in his own house. It begins really years ago in the registry office of a Victorian country town, when an 18-year-old factory boy named Charles Wilkinson married a 19-year-old factory girl, Hilda Hodges. It ended one night last year in another Victorian country town, under the blanket of the dark, in the squalor of an ill-kept, disordered home that for years had known no love, only fear, discontent, and the longing to escape. And the beginning of the end was when two frightened women stood together in the shadows outside that drab weatherboard house.
Gosh, Hilda, what happened? What always happens. He belted me. What are you going to do? What can I do? What did happen? He abused me. He slapped me and punched me. Told me to clear out if I didn't like it. He says I'll never get the kids. They're his, not mine. He's got it in for me, too. He hates me. Yeah, he hates you. He hates everybody. What are you going to do now? Go inside again? No. He might get out of bed. Then let's go for a walk. Oh, yeah. Let's go down to the river and sit under the bridge. Yeah, that's it. Go for a walk. Anywhere, but let's get away from here. Yeah. Have a cigarette. Oh, you'll be asleep when you get back. I'd better sleep up at Auntie May's. I'm not going to go back. I'll get me things tomorrow when he's gone to work. Yeah, he'll be asleep when I get back.
At 7 o'clock the following morning, Dr. Miles Thorpe, a young physician who'd not long before set up practice in town, was awakened by a loud, insistent knocking on his surgery door.
Oh, Doctor, can you come quickly? It's my brother-in-law.
Now, just a minute. Suppose you tell me who you are.
My name's Hodges, Nettie Hodges. Charlie Wilkinson's my brother-in-law. It's him that's...
I see. Well, now, what's wrong with your brother-in-law?
Something awful's happened. Hilda, my sister, went to waken him this morning and she found him in bed all covered in blood.
What? What happened to him?
I don't know, Doctor. I never seen him. It was Hilda.
Where does your sister live?
27 Wootton Street. Oh, please, hurry. Charlie might be dead or anything for all I know. I came in a taxi, Doctor. It's waiting outside.
Now, just you come in for a moment and sit down.
But, Doctor...
Now, don't worry. It probably isn't half as serious as you imagine. In my experience, it very rarely is.
But in this case, young Dr. Miles Thorpe could hardly have been more wrong. He was met at the kitchen door of the Wilkinson house by an ashen-faced, wild-eyed woman, Hilda. 4 young children watched him silently. As led by their mother, he walked into the house, up the little passage to a bedroom, opened the door and entered. He didn't remain in the room for long.
Mrs. Wilkinson, you haven't the phone on.
No.
Where is the nearest phone?
There's a box just up the street.
I'm going to call the police.
Oh, police! Oh, Hilda, is that the police? He's dead, isn't he?
Yes, Mrs. Wilkinson, he's dead.
Oh, sis. He's been murdered, hasn't he?
I'm afraid that's not for me to say. I think you'd better make some arrangement for the children to be looked after somewhere else. For this morning, anyway.
Yes, Doctor.
And I'd suggest that you don't enter that room again until the police come.
Within a matter of minutes after receiving the call from Dr. Thorpe, local police arrived at the Wilkinson house. The briefest examination of Charles Wilkinson's body, lying on the bed with shocking head wounds, and of the blood-spattered ceiling and walls, convinced them that all further investigation must be taken over by the experts of the homicide squad. A police car raced from Melbourne with 2 senior detectives and a photographer. They made a complete record of the room of tragedy before they discussed the case.
Well, Jerry, what do you think?
Well, whoever did it while he was asleep, I'd say. He couldn't have stirred after the first blow.
Any ideas about what it could have been done with?
I'd say an axe.
What axe?
Well, while you and Bill were working on the fingerprints, I had a nose around outside. There was an axe in the woodshed.
Bloodstones, eh?
Well, not exactly. But there's something between the handle and the axe head that we'll have to get analyzed. I think it's blood.
Mm-hmm. Well, what next? Better have a yarn to the women, eh?
I suppose so. Oh, I don't like this sort of job, Lance.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Oh, well, come on.
It's awful.
Are you Mrs. Wilkinson?
No. I'm a sister. Yeah. I'm Mrs. Wilkinson.
I'm Detective Inspector Lanigan from Melbourne. This is Senior Detective Crosby. We're here to make some inquiries into your husband's death, Mrs. Wilkinson.
Yeah?
And this other lady's your sister.
That's right.
I see. Miss
Hodges.
I wonder if you'd excuse us for a while, Miss Hodges. We'd like to speak to Mrs. Wilkinson alone.
That's all right. Nettie, don't go, don't.
It's all right, Mrs. Wilkinson. It's perfectly all right. We won't be long.
Don't worry, love. I won't go far. It'll be all right. Here.
Now, Mrs. Wilkinson, we understand all this is very difficult for you.
Yeah.
You realize, of course, there's only one possible explanation of his death.
Yeah, I know. Charlie was murdered.
When did you last see him alive, Mrs. Wilkinson?
At tea time yesterday. About 6:30 or 7, I suppose. But I heard him after that.
How do you mean you've heard him?
He was singing out from the bedroom.
What did he say?
I wouldn't repeat it. Not to a gentleman.
I'm afraid you may have to, Mrs. Wilkinson.
He was just abusing me like he was always doing.
Then you had a quarrel?
Yeah, we'd had a quarrel.
What about?
What about? What do we always fight about? I don't know.
You and your husband didn't get on?
No, we didn't get on. We never got on.
I see.
But this quarrel must have started about something in particular.
Yeah, started about Nettie. He ordered her out of the house, called her filthy names, and he belted me.
And after this quarrel, what happened then, Mrs. Wilkinson?
Nettie and I went for a walk to let him cool off.
What time would that be?
About 5 to 8. We heard the town hall clock striking just after we started. You can hear it from here.
And where did you go with your sister?
Down under the Hanson Street Bridge. You can check on that if you want to. Plenty of people saw us, plenty.
And what happened when you got there?
And we just sat on the grass.
And you came home later?
Yeah. About 11 o'clock I come home.
And what happened then? Where was Nettie?
Nettie was too scared to come back. She went over and slept at Auntie May's. She said she was going to Melbourne this morning.
And what did you do?
Well, I crept in as quiet as I could. The light was still on in the kitchen. I left it on when I went out in case the kiddies woke up.
I see. Oh.
And the middle door was shut. I was scared of waking Charlie, so I crept into the other bedroom and got into bed with the baby.
So you don't know whether your husband was alive when you came home or not?
No, I never went near him. I wasn't game to.
Did you hear any noise in the night?
I thought I heard Charlie.
Where was that?
I don't know. About 2, I suppose. There was someone walked down the passage. I put me in under the bedclothes because I thought it was Charlie and he'd go crook at me for leaving the light on.
And he didn't speak to you?
No.
Mrs. Wilkinson, this may be a difficult question for you to answer, but I want you to try.
Go on.
Do you know anybody who might have had reason to kill your husband?
No. No one but me.
Why do you say that, Mrs. Wilkinson?
Why do I say it? Why do I say it? If you only knew. But I never killed him. I never.
Okay, Lance, we'd better give it a spell for a while.
Yes, I think so, too. I'll get her sister to look after her.
What do you make of it, Lance?
I don't know. Maybe it's not as open and shut as it seems.
How do you mean?
Well, for a start, the woman made no effort at all to conceal the fact that she hated her husband, feared and detested him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not the main thing. The doctor calculates the man had been dead about 9 or 10 hours when he first examined him.
Yes?
Which would put his death at between 9 and 10 the night before.
I see.
So, if it's true that she and her sister were sitting under the bridge between 8 and 11 o'clock, and the post-mortem bears out the doctor's estimate, then someone else killed him with that axe.
The post-mortem did bear out the doctor's estimate. Charles Wilkinson had been battered to death by repeated blows from an axe or some similar implement somewhere about 9 or 10 o'clock on the evening before the discovery of his body. In just a few moments, we'll continue this true story from the files of the Victoria Police. This is the true story of Master of the House. This is a true story from the files of the Victoria Police. Only names, place names, and dates have been altered.
This is
The
a test
detectives
transmission
investigating the murder of Charles Wilkinson
vk3sl.
found on the very first day of their inquiry that the case was by no means as straightforward as it had first seemed. Both his wife Hilda and her sister Nettie had a strong motive for killing him, the motive of hate and fear. But Nettie Hodges corroborated Hilda's story. She said they'd left the house between 8 and 8:15 on the night of the murder and had not returned until after 11. And so the police began the patient, slow, inexorable routine of inquiry.
South Police Station, yes. Detective Inspector Lanigan? Oh, yes, just a minute, he's here. For you, Inspector?
Thanks, Sergeant. Lanigan. Oh, it's you, Jerry. Yes, sure. What's it? Ah, I see. What names did you say? Rigby, Thomas Edward. Yeah. Wilcox, Peter Henry. Right, we'll do that. I'll take them. Bye. That was Crosby, Sergeant. He's turned up a possibility for another interview with the Wilkinson woman. Did you hear about some sort of quarrel at the Stanbury Cricket Club meeting on Thursday night?
No, sir, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was.
No? How's that?
There were always quarrels when Wilkinson was about. After 4 beers, he'd take a poke at anybody or everybody.
Did you know Harry Wilcox and Ted Rigby?
Sure. Wilcox runs the garage on the main road coming into town. Ted Rigby's a tobacconist in Hampton Street.
Okay, thanks a lot. If anybody's looking for me, I'll be back about 5, I guess. I'm going round to see the garage man.
A blow at the cricket club meeting? Well, yes, I suppose you could call it that, but it was a one-sided sort of blow. Charlie had a few in and was firing off his mouth. You know how it is.
Yes, I know. Was he a difficult sort of chap, this Wilkinson?
I'll say.
You and a man called Rigby were on the receiving end Thursday night, is that right?
Yeah, but we never took no notice of old Charlie.
They were blows struck, weren't they?
Oh, who told you that?
Well, what happened?
Well, Charlie did his block and took a punch at me, but I ducked.
I see.
Poor old Charlie. Couldn't fight his way out of a lolly bag.
Yeah?
Only person he ever hung on was his missus. He gave her Larry due. From all accounts, it...
Oh, go on.
I oughtn't have said that.
Oh, never mind. Everybody says it as far as we can make out. Now, what happened after you ducked the punch he swung at you?
Oh, nothing much. Ted Rigby and I grabbed him and put him outside to cool off, was all.
I see. And did he use the words, "I'll do for you two blanks"?
Well, he might have. Don't remember. He was always going to do for people when he had a few in, was Charlie.
All right, thanks, Mr. Wilcox. I don't expect we'd have to bother you anymore. Oh, just one thing.
Yeah?
Where did you spend last night, huh?
It's truth. You don't think I done Charlie in, do you?
Oh, Mr. Wilcox, I don't. It's my job to check everybody who had anything to do with him.
Yeah, I suppose so.
You'll appreciate that. And somebody killed him, and that somebody has got to be found.
Well, I'm in the clear, and so's Ted Rigby. Him and me took our wives over to the returned soldiers' ball at Bairnsdale last night. A special bus took a whole mob of us. You can check that easy enough.
Okay. Thanks for your help.
And so the inquiry went on all through that day and late into the night. In the early hours of the following morning, the homicide squad men compared notes in the local police station.
Well, we've got no excuse to knock anybody else out of bed tonight, Jerry.
No. I wish I were in bed.
Me too. Well, so far, so bad. What's it add up to?
Well, as far as I can make out, about half the people in the district could have had a motive for doing Wilkinson in.
In small accounts, a pretty job of work was the late Charlie Wilkinson. Makes it tough.
Yes, it makes it tough.
Nasty drunk. Unreliable on everything he did.
Treated with contempt and dislike by everybody he came into contact with.
Well, so nobody want to talk about people despising and disliking him. Contempt and dislike aren't motives for murder.
Yeah, true.
The only person with a really strong motive for killing him is his wife.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. She's a simple soul, as simple as they come. Or, coming to think of that alibi, is she?
You mean you think the sister may be lying to cover up for him?
It could be.
Yes, I've been wondering that too.
Unless we can turn up someone else with a sufficiently strong motive, that's the likeliest explanation, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. I think we'd better call off checking on everybody who couldn't stand the sight of Charlie Wilkinson and get to work on that alibi.
Yeah, it'll be tough. The two of them were seen under the bridge, you know.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way...
What?
What happened about the axe? Was it blood between the head and the handle?
It'll take a day or two to find out for sure if it was his blood group.
Oh, I see. And there was no other evidence in the house? None at all?
No. But I'm getting the ashes in the kitchen stove looked at. There was something in them besides wood ash.
The following morning, Detective Inspector Lanigan and Detective Crosby began upon their new line of inquiry. Inquiry designed to test beyond all doubt the truth of the statement made by Hilda Wilkinson and her sister that they had left the house very soon after 8 o'clock on the night of the murder.
Yeah, I see her. I say goodnight to her. I had just dropped my girlfriend. We had been to the cinema. It must have been just after 11.
Now, I often heard the Wilkinsons rowing. He was always beating her up when he was shot, yelling out to each other who was master of the house. But I never heard nothing that night.
Sure, I saw the light on. Baby was crying and I got up to change her. Must have been after 2.
We saw them both under the bridge. They often went down there to sit when he started busting things up, showing who was the boss. The bully. Must have been about 10, but I couldn't be certain to the minute.
No, not a thing, Inspector. I was listening to D24 on the radio, so I wouldn't have heard anyway.
And then, when it seemed that this patient checking would yield no results, the break came. The detectives interviewed an elderly woman whose home was not far from the Wilkinsons' house.
You see, Mrs. Lawton, anything at all that you can recollect about that evening might be of the greatest assistance to us.
Oh dear. What's so hard to be sure? Yes, I did see her go out, poor thing. I'm almost sure I did.
About what time would it be?
Let me see. Yes, that's right. I saw her going out after she'd chopped the wood.
She'd been chopping wood, you say?
Oh, yes, she always chopped the wood. I know it's a dreadful thing to say, officer, but Charlie Wilkinson did treat her so badly.
Yes, I'm afraid everybody agrees about that, Mrs. Lawton.
She was up at first light the next morning. Before 5, I remember that distinctly.
Before 5, did you say?
Yes, I'm afraid I sleep badly, you know.
Yes, well, please go on.
Well, I woke up before dawn and I just lay tossing and turning, so at 20 to 5 I got up to make myself a cup of tea.
And you saw Mrs. Wilkinson?
Yes, it was barely light. I saw her distinctly in the front yard. She was dressed.
Does she always get up so early?
Oh, no, I'm sure she doesn't. They're not early risers.
Now, please, Mrs. Lawton, think back to the night before. What time did you hear Mrs. Wilkinson chopping the wood?
Oh, dear, now let me think. Now, what was I doing? My husband, he'd gone out to visit some friends.
Yes, and what did you do?
Let's see. I did some darning and listened to the radio. Yes, it was after...
After what, Mrs. Lawton?
It was after the news.
Was that the 7 o'clock news?
Oh, no, my husband didn't go out till nearly 7:30. It must have been after the 9 o'clock news.
Mrs. Lawton, you're quite sure about it being after the 9 o'clock news that you heard Mrs. Wilkinson chopping wood?
Oh, yes, I'm quite certain about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawton. Thank you very much indeed.
Once more, the men of the homicide squad questioned Hilda Wilkinson. This time, however, it was in the office of the local police station.
Mrs. Wilkinson, do you know why we asked you to come here?
To ask me more questions about him, I suppose.
Yes, we have reason to believe that you've not told us everything you know about your husband's death.
I've told you all I know. I've told you the truth.
What time did you get up on the morning you discovered your husband's body?
I don't know. 4 or 5, I think.
You always get up so early?
No, I don't.
Then why did you get up at 5 this morning?
I don't know. I woke up shaking.
Why?
I just had a feeling something had happened.
Then what did you do?
Oh, I lit the fire on the kitchen stove, and then I went in to wake him, and...
You found out what had happened?
Yeah, I found out what had happened.
Mrs. Wilkinson, why was it your sister Nettie called the doctor, not you?
I ran down to the station. She was going to Melbourne on the 7 o'clock train. I knew she'd be there.
But why didn't you call the doctor?
It was the kids. I didn't want to leave them alone in the house with him.
I see.
Now, you say you and your sister left the house just after 8.
Yeah. Nettie knows that.
But if that is so, how does it happen you were seen and heard chopping wood on your backyard at 9 o'clock?
vk3sl.
What would you say if we were to tell you that you were seen leaving the house much, much later than you and your sister claim?
What could I say? I never done it. I tell you, I never done it. Not Charlie. I wouldn't have dared. I couldn't.
Come, Mrs. Wilkinson, you're only upsetting yourself. You might as well tell us the truth. We'll find it all out in the end, you know. Today, tomorrow, or the next day. Well, Mrs. Wilkinson?
No good. It's no good. I did it. I did it, Charlie, with the axe. But I didn't mean to kill him. I never meant to kill him.
Where was he when you hit him?
Lying on the bed.
Was he asleep?
I don't know. I was afraid. Afraid.
You burned your dress on the stove, didn't you?
How do you know?
We checked on the ashes. Was it blood-stained and you burnt it? Was that why?
Mrs. Wilkinson, you'll be charged with the murder of your husband. It's my duty to warn you that you are not obliged to say anything further unless you wish. But if you do make a statement, it'll be taken down in writing and may be used in evidence.
That is the end of this story. Murder as it is, not storybook murder. Sordid, despairing, violent, horrible. Although Mrs. Wilkinson and her sister, panicked by the terrible events in the house that night, concocted a clever alibi, patient inquiry established its falseness. Although Charles Wilkinson was a hated man, no one hated him enough to kill him, except the woman who was in his power. Yes, The Master of the House is a story of murder as it is. The jury before which the case was tried took the view that Hilda Wilkinson's act was not premeditated, but she was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to a long term of imprisonment. Those to whom the pity of the community must go out are the 4 children of that tragic and fatal marriage. Only names, place names and dates were altered in this true story. It was dramatized in the files of the Victoria Police by Edward Dawkins. And now this is Roland Strong saying goodbye until the same time next week, when there'll be another true story in this series, D24, which is produced in the studios of Hector Crawford Productions by Dorothy Crawford.
Well, that's all very sobering, isn't it? Full on stories about tragic events which happen in our communities. Well, yeah, I suppose that authentic touch really makes it all the more poignant, doesn't it? Okay, folks, we need something a little bit lighter after that, and I've chosen a Mozart symphony. It's a symphony that you don't hear very often. It's number 29. It's an early work from 1774. So, I don't know much about it, to be honest. I was wanting to hear it. So, I don't think there's any specific information about this work, other than it is full of Mozart's wonderful excursions into, well, his witticisms and his wonderful harmonic language, everything. Apparently, it's a quintessential symphony, and it's one to be heard. So upon that recommendation, I have put it on the platter. This is a recording with the Symphonia of London with Colin Davis, and a reminder that we do have our late night missions tomorrow. There'll probably be an afternoon session as per usual. Things just keep cycling on. And oh yes, a reminder, of course, that we'll have a grand OTR session on Friday night. Jamie's going to be with us, and I'm looking forward to that very much. Okay, let's have a listen to this Mozart Symphony, vk3sl, testing. is vk3sl, and you've been listening to a Mozart Symphony, number 29. It's in A major. It's K201, a work written in 1774. And excuse the dropout there. I'll just turn the monitor down. Yeah, there's something a bit amiss with this SP10. It's in general, it's been working really well, but it just suddenly stops. It needs to be restarted again, which is a bit disconcerting when I'm inside the house. Oh well, that's the way of things here. Everything is on the way out. Well, folks, I'm going to wind it at this point. Other things to do, so we'll say cheers for now. Should be back tomorrow. Just a reminder as well about late night missions tomorrow, 11:30 p.m. We will crank things up and have an OTR extravaganza with Jamie. Just received the Zoom link, so it's all set up and ready to go. So hopefully things will proceed to plan. All right then, have a really good week or good night. Back again tomorrow. And this is VK3SL saying cheers for now.
Oh, be like sheep.